The amendments to the Constitution protect individual citizens. They guard against government overreach. These are your fundamental rights, inherent and unalienable. Consider the Bill of Rights. These first 10 amendments guarantee essential freedoms like speech, religion, and a fair trial. Without them, government power could be easily abused. They are fundamental for a truly free society. The original Constitution established the 3 branches of government. The amendments refine and update this rule book. They clarify the powers of federal and state governments. Together, they form the supreme law of the land. Courts, especially the Supreme Court, use the amendments to review challenged laws. This power, known as judicial review, is a cornerstone of the American legal system. It ensures that laws conform to constitutional principles. In 1787, the Constitutional Convention proposed a new framework for American government. This new Constitution created a stronger federal government. However, many Americans were uneasy about the lack of a specific list of individual rights. The Anti-Federalists, including Patrick Henry and George Mason, demanded a Bill of Rights. They feared potential tyranny without clear protections for fundamental liberties. The Federalists, led by Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, initially disagreed but eventually compromised. They promised to add a Bill of Rights once the new government was established. James Madison proposed a series of amendments which were debated and refined by Congress. 10 of these amendments were ratified in 1791, becoming the Bill of Rights. These amendments were crucial for national unity and protecting individual freedoms. The First Amendment is a cornerstone of American liberty. It protects 5 fundamental freedoms: religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. These freedoms ensure individuals can express their thoughts and practice their faith without government interference. Freedom of religion includes the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause. These clauses ensure religious liberty and a separation between church and state. Freedom of speech and press are vital for a functioning democracy. They protect the right to express opinions and report information without government censorship. Freedom of assembly allows people to gather peacefully. The right to petition enables individuals to formally ask the government to address grievances. These rights empower citizens to participate in their democracy and advocate for change. Amendments 2, 3, and 4 focus on personal security and protection from government intrusion. The Second Amendment discusses the right to bear arms. It has been subject to intense debate, but generally protects an individual's right to own firearms. The Third Amendment prohibits the government from forcing homeowners to quarter soldiers. This was a response to British practices before the Revolution. It reinforces the principle that a person's home is a private sanctuary. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Law enforcement officials generally need a warrant to conduct a search. This amendment is a cornerstone of privacy rights in the United States. It ensures people are secure from arbitrary government intrusion. Amendments 5 through 8 provide crucial protections for individuals accused of crimes. They ensure fairness in the criminal justice system and prevent wrongful convictions. The Fifth Amendment offers protections like grand jury indictment, double jeopardy, and the right against self-incrimination. It also guarantees due process of law and includes the Takings Clause. The Sixth Amendment guarantees the right to a speedy and public trial, an impartial jury, and the right to counsel. The Seventh Amendment extends the right to a jury trial to certain civil cases. The Eighth Amendment prohibits excessive bail and fines and bans cruel and unusual punishments. The Ninth Amendment acknowledges that people have fundamental rights beyond those listed in the Constitution. The 10th Amendment reinforces federalism by reserving powers not given to the federal government to the states or the people. These amendments define governmental limits and protect individual rights. The original Constitution was a remarkable achievement, but it was not perfect. The framers created a process for making changes. The 11th and 12th Amendments were early responses to challenges that tested the young government. The 11th Amendment, adopted in 1795, deals with lawsuits against states in federal court. It was a response to the Supreme Court case. This amendment limited federal court jurisdiction over certain suits against states. The 12th Amendment, adopted in 1804, refined the process for electing the president and vice president. It addressed issues that arose in the election of 1800. These early amendments showed the Constitution's ability to adapt and ensure stability. They helped fine-tune the machinery of government for smooth functioning. Section 2, A Nation Remade, the Civil War and Reconstruction Amendments. The mid-19th century brought the United States to its breaking point. The issue of slavery deeply divided the nation. This division led to the Civil War, a brutal and transformative conflict. After the Union victory, the nation faced the enormous task of rebuilding. It also had to define the status of millions of newly freed African Americans. 3 critical amendments were added to the Constitution during this period. These are the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. They are often called the Civil War or Reconstruction Amendments. They fundamentally changed the Constitution. They aim to create a more just and equal society, though the struggle to realize their promise would be long. The 13th Amendment was ratified in 1865. Its language is clear and direct. It formally abolished slavery and involuntary servitude everywhere in the United States. The only exception is as punishment for a crime. Before this amendment, the Emancipation Proclamation had freed slaves in Confederate states. However, slavery still existed in some border states. The 13th Amendment made abolition universal and permanent. It was a monumental step forward for human rights. It ended a system that had been a core part of the American economy and society for centuries. This amendment represented a profound moral and legal shift for the nation. Section 3, the Progressive Era, Reshaping Society and Governance. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were a time of great change in America. This period is known as the Progressive Era. Industrialization, urbanization, and immigration were transforming the country rapidly. With these changes came new social and economic problems. Issues like corporate power, corruption, and inequality became major concerns. Progressive reformers believed government action was needed to address these problems. They sought to make government more responsive to the people, and they aim to improve society through new laws and constitutional changes. 4 important amendments were adopted during this era. These were the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th Amendments. 2 of these progressive-era amendments dealt directly with government finances and structure. The 16th Amendment, ratified in 1913, authorized Congress to levy a federal income tax. Before this, the Constitution required direct taxes to be apportioned among the states by population. This made a national income tax difficult. The Supreme Court had struck down an earlier income tax. The 16th Amendment cleared the way. It allowed the federal government to create a new, significant source of revenue. This greatly expanded the government's ability to fund its programs and services. Also in 1913, the 17th Amendment changed how U.S. senators were elected. Senators were now to be elected directly by the people of each state. Previously, state legislatures chose them. This change aimed to make senators more accountable to the public. It also sought to reduce corruption in senatorial elections. Section 4. Modern Amendments. Refining rules and expanding suffrage. From the 1930s to the late 20th century, constitutional changes continued. These amendments expanded voting rights and refined government mechanics. They aimed to make the government more efficient, accountable, and inclusive. The 26th Amendment lowered the voting age to 18. These changes made American democracy more inclusive. Marbury v. Madison and judicial review. The Supreme Court plays a vital role in the American system of government. It is the highest court in the land. One of its most important functions is to interpret the Constitution. This power, known as judicial review, was established in Marbury v. Madison. Chief Justice John Marshall set a precedent that has shaped American law ever since. The case arose from a political dispute. William Marbury sued to get his commission. The court ruled that the law allowing him to sue was unconstitutional. This established the principle of judicial review. Understanding Marbury versus Madison is crucial. It explains the foundation of the court's power to shape the impact of the amendments on all Americans. Landmark First Amendment cases. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of speech, press, and religion. The Supreme Court defines these freedoms. How far does freedom of speech extend? In Schenck versus United States, speech could be limited if it created a clear and present danger. In New York Times v. Sullivan, public officials must prove actual malice for libel. Engel v. Vitale ruled state-sponsored prayer in public schools unconstitutional. Tinker v. Des Moines protected student speech unless it disrupted education. These cases shape our understanding of First Amendment freedoms. Section 3, the Arc of Equality, the 14th Amendment in court. The 14th Amendment guarantees citizenship, due process, and equal protection. The Supreme Court's interpretation of the Equal Protection Clause has been transformative. In 1896, the court upheld state-sponsored racial segregation. This ruling legitimized segregation for decades. This changed with the landmark decision in 1954. Chief Justice Earl Warren wrote that separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. It began the long process of desegregating American society. The Supreme Court case in 1966 is a key example. The court ruled that criminal suspects must be informed of their constitutional rights. More recently, the Equal Protection Clause has been central to cases involving other forms of discrimination. In 2015, the Supreme Court ruled that the fundamental right to marry is guaranteed to same-sex couples. The 14th Amendment continues to be a powerful tool for advancing equality and protecting fundamental rights. Section 4, guarding the accused, due process and fair trial rulings. The Bill of Rights provides protections for individuals accused of crimes. Amendments 4, 5, 6, and 8 are especially important. The Supreme Court defines and enforces these rights, balancing the government's need to investigate with fair treatment. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches. Evidence obtained illegally cannot be used in trials. This is known as the exclusionary rule. The Sixth Amendment guarantees the right to counsel. States must provide an attorney if one cannot afford it. Clarence Gideon's case changed the criminal justice system. The Fifth Amendment protects against self-incrimination. Miranda rights ensure confessions are voluntary. The Eighth Amendment prohibits cruel and unusual punishments. The court has placed limits on the death penalty, reflecting contemporary societal standards of decency, ensuring punishments are just and humane. Section 5. A living document, evolving understandings and future challenges. The interpretations of the Constitution and its amendments are not static. They evolve over time. The Supreme Court's decisions reflect changes in society, technology, and our understanding of fundamental rights. This concept is often referred to as the living Constitution. This view suggests that the Constitution's broad principles should be applied to contemporary issues in ways the framers might not have specifically envisioned. This flexibility allows the Constitution to remain relevant across generations. It adapts to new challenges while upholding its core values of liberty, justice, and equality. The ongoing dialogue about constitutional meaning is a hallmark of American democracy. One major area where interpretations constantly evolve is in response to new technologies. For example, the Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches and seizures. How does this apply to digital information? How does it apply to data stored on smartphones, computers, or in the cloud? The Supreme Court has begun to address these issues. In Riley v. California, 2014, the court ruled that police generally need a warrant to search the contents of a cell phone seized during an arrest. This recognized the vast amount of personal information stored on modern devices. This shows the court adapting old principles to new technological realities, ensuring privacy protections keep pace. Different philosophies guide how judges interpret the Constitution. Some judges adhere to originalism. They try to interpret the Constitution based on the original understanding of those who wrote and ratified it. Others believe in a more dynamic approach, considering contemporary values and consequences. These different interpretative methods can lead to different outcomes in cases. They fuel ongoing debates about the proper role of the judiciary. These debates are healthy. They ensure that constitutional interpretation remains a subject of careful consideration and public discussion. They highlight the gravity of the task of applying founding principles to modern life. Ultimately, understanding the amendments and their evolving interpretations is crucial for every citizen. These judicial decisions profoundly impact our daily lives, our rights, and our society. They shape debates on major policy issues, from free speech online to criminal justice reform. As society continues to change, new questions about the meaning of our constitutional rights will inevitably arise. The Supreme Court will continue to grapple with these questions. An informed citizenry, aware of this dynamic process, is better equipped to participate in these critical discussions. This helps to ensure that the Constitution remains a true guardian of liberty and justice for all, now and in the future. Section 1. The enduring necessity of constitutional literacy. Our journey through the amendments has been long. It has covered centuries of American history. From the initial Bill of Rights to the 27th Amendment, we see a pattern. The nation has constantly sought to define and refine its core values. Understanding this continuous process is not merely an academic exercise. It is a fundamental civic responsibility for every American. This understanding equips citizens with the essential knowledge. They can better appreciate the deep foundations of their freedoms. They can also comprehend the intricate structure of their governance. This knowledge truly forms the bedrock of informed participation in our democratic society. Grasping the specific historical context behind each amendment is vitally important. These profound changes to the Constitution were never made lightly or on a whim. They often emerged from periods of intense national crisis. Sometimes they were the result of widespread social movements demanding change. At other times, they addressed flaws revealed by difficult experiences. Knowing precisely why an amendment was adopted is key. Understanding the problem it sought to solve or the injustices it aimed to rectify provides much deeper insight. This insight helps us see its intended meaning and its lasting importance. This historical lens illuminates the amendments as living responses. Furthermore, it is crucial to understand the Supreme Court's interpretations of these amendments. As we explored in Part 4 of this essay, the words written in the amendments gain their practical meaning. This meaning comes through the process of judicial review. Landmark Supreme Court cases have profoundly shaped how these rights and limitations are applied. They affect the daily lives of all Americans in significant ways. Following these evolving interpretations reveals the dynamic nature of constitutional law. It demonstrates how abstract legal principles are translated into concrete, real-world rules. These rules affect everything from free speech to police conduct, from equality in education to personal privacy. Therefore, a comprehensive understanding is essential. This includes the text of the amendments themselves. It includes their unique histories. It also includes their ongoing life in the courts. Such complete literacy transforms citizens from passive observers into active, engaged participants. It empowers individuals to recognize when their rights or the rights of others are being upheld. It also helps them see when those rights might be threatened. This knowledge provides the necessary tools for engaging in constructive dialogue. This dialogue concerns the nation's legal path and its moral direction. Such constitutional literacy is absolutely essential for the continued health and vitality of the American Republic. Section 2. The Amendments in the 21st Century. A living conversation. The amendments to the Constitution remain profoundly relevant in our contemporary society. The complex debates and significant challenges of the 21st century are very often framed by these enduring constitutional provisions. Consider current issues like digital privacy in an age of constant surveillance. Think about freedom of speech on global internet platforms. Consider ongoing discussions about voting rights or reforms to the criminal justice system. All these modern concerns are deeply intertwined with the principles enshrined in the amendments. They are not merely dusty historical documents confined to archives. They are active, vital participants in current events shaping American life. New societal developments and rapid technological advancements constantly test the boundaries of the amendments. They compel us to consider new applications of these foundational principles. For example, the rise of artificial intelligence brings new questions. How does it affect due process or equal protection? The global reach of social media challenges traditional notions of jurisdiction and free speech. Evolving social norms also lead to important re-examinations of constitutional concepts. We continuously redefine liberty or equality in light of new understandings. This dynamic interaction between established principles and emerging realities ensures that our constitutional conversation is always alive. It is always adapting to the present. We can see the direct impact of amendments in many current issues. Debates surrounding content moderation policies on social media platforms directly engage First Amendment principles of free speech. Questions about government access to personal electronic data bring the Fourth Amendment's protections against unreasonable searches to the forefront. Discussions about ensuring fair access to voting for all citizens involve the First, 14th, 15th, 19th, and 26th Amendments. Similarly, debates over campaign finance regulations frequently cite First Amendment concerns. These contemporary examples clearly demonstrate the amendment's direct and continuing influence on the issues that citizens care deeply about today. This ongoing relevance means that American citizens must remain vigilant and actively engaged. The interpretation and application of the amendments are not solely the domain of lawyers, judges, or legal scholars. Public opinion, dedicated advocacy groups, and political action also play significant roles. They help shape how these fundamental constitutional values are understood, implemented, and enforced. An informed populace, keenly aware of how the amendments connect to current affairs, is far better equipped. It can contribute meaningfully to this vital, ongoing national conversation. This conversation is about the meaning of our rights and the nature of our governance in an ever-changing world. Section 3. Our Constitutional Future, Upholding the Legacy. The amendments will continue to serve as the bedrock of American liberty and justice. Their core principles offer a resilient guide for future generations. The Constitution's capacity to be amended ensures its relevance. Protecting these rights requires constant effort and active vigilance. Many amendments were born from intense struggle and courageous activism. Future generations must learn and defend these rights. Education and civic engagement are crucial in preserving this legacy. Active participation in democratic processes is essential. This includes exercising the right to vote. The Constitution, with its amendments, is a living document. Its strength depends on the informed engagement of we the people. A special note from WiseHooterLearning. Even if you slept through history class, it's not too late to wake up and learn the true history of your country, and most important, to understand freedoms. Freedom is never guaranteed. You need to understand that freedom isn't free. We must all understand what gives us our freedoms and work to ensure that our children and grandchildren will continue to enjoy the same freedoms that so many have given their lives and fortunes to ensure we have. Thank you for watching a WiseHooter Learning video. If you would like a shout out at the end of a future video, please have your first name emailed to WiseHooterLearning@yahoo.com.